George Orwell's 1984. Man, it's so much more than just a story, isn't it? It's basically a blueprint for a total state. But have you ever stopped to think about how that state actually works? Like, what are the nuts and bolts? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dissect that very anatomy of control, from the obvious external tools of oppression all the way down to the terrifying internal re-engineering of the human mind itself. Okay, so this is the first question everyone asks, right? You look around today, you see the cameras, the political spin, all the weirdness online, and it's so easy to think, whoa, Orwell totally predicted all of this. But here's the thing. Was the novel really meant to be a crystal ball, a prophecy of what was to come? Well, the short and maybe surprising answer from Orwell himself was a big, fat no. And honestly, this is where a lot of people get the book wrong. See, it wasn't about him peering into some unknown future. It was about him looking around at the terrifyingly known present he was living in. Yeah, he saw the book as more of a diagnosis, not a prediction. He was taking all the real-world horrors of totalitarianism that he saw in the mid-20th century. We're talking the purges, the insane propaganda, the complete suspension of reality, and just distilling them down into their purest, most terrifying form. All right, so that brings us to our first big takeaway. This book is a warning, not a prophecy. It's Orwell looking at the mechanisms of tyranny he saw with his own eyes and shouting, hey, this is how any society can slide into oppression if we let go of objective truth. Okay, so if it's a warning, what exactly is it warning us about? To really get a grip on the party's power, we've got to start by looking at its physical, external tools. I mean, how does it control people's bodies and actions day in and day out? It all starts with this core concept, the panoptic state. Think about it. You don't actually need a guard in every single room if every citizen thinks there could be one. Just the possibility of being watched is enough. It forces people to become their own jailers, constantly policing their own actions, their words, even the look on their face. And the poster child for this idea, it has to be the telescreen. I mean, it's the party's most iconic piece of tech, right? It's not just a TV blasting propaganda at you. It's also a camera and a microphone that watches and listens to you. It basically takes that whole panoptic theory and sticks it right in your living room. Suddenly, there's no such thing as privacy, which means there's no such thing as a private life. But it's not just about watching you in the present. The party's real genius, if you can call it that, is controlling the present by completely controlling the past. This is literally Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth. He systematically erases history. Any document, any photo, any little fact that doesn't fit the party's story of the day gets changed. The original, poof. It's dropped down a memory hole and burned to ash. And you gotta ask yourself, if there's no record of what really happened, how can you ever prove that the present is a lie? Okay, so the party has the external world on total lockdown. Surveillance, history, check. But, that's still not enough for them. The ultimate form of control isn't just forcing people to obey. It's making it impossible for them to even think about disobeying. So, how do you conquer that final frontier, the human mind? And this is where things get really, really dark. We're now talking about the party's most insidious weapons, the internal tools, the ones designed to literally re-engineer thought itself. For me, this is where the true horror of the whole system really sinks in. A great way to understand what the party is really afraid of is to just look at Winston and Julia. Julia's rebellion is, well, it's physical, it's personal. She just wants to find little ways to break the rules for her own pleasure. But Winston, his rebellion is intellectual. He's obsessed with understanding the why. Why does the party want all this power? And that kind of organized critical thinking is the one thing the party absolutely cannot stand. Think about it. Julia just gets corrected. Winston has to be completely broken down and remade from scratch. So how do you stop people from thinking dangerous thoughts? Tool number 1, Newspeak. And this is so much more than just censorship. It's like preemptive mind control. The whole goal is to make thought crime literally impossible by just getting rid of the words you'd need to have a rebellious idea in the first place. I mean, if the word freedom doesn't exist anymore, how can you even think about what you're missing? Now imagine you live in a world where the truth can literally change from one day to the next. To survive that, you'd need some serious mental gymnastics. And that's exactly what doublethink is. It's this incredible ability to hold two completely contradictory ideas in your head at the same time and just accept both of them. It's knowing the party is lying, while also believing the lie with every fiber of your being. It's the single most important psychological skill you need to survive in Oceania. And here they are, the ultimate examples. These aren't just catchy slogans on a wall. They are daily mental workouts in doublethink. Let's just take the first one. War is peace. The party forces you to accept the insane idea that a state of endless, grinding war actually creates a stable, peaceful society at home. It's designed to make you abandon all logic and just accept the party's reality as the only reality. Okay, but why? I mean, think about everything we've just talked about. The constant surveillance, erasing history, rewriting the entire language, literally re-engineering the human mind. Why go to all this trouble? What could possibly be the endgame for a system this monstrously complex and brutal? This right here, this is the absolute climax of Orwell's warning. Because the answer isn't about creating some kind of utopia or serving the greater good. Nope. The real answer is much, much simpler and 1,000 times more chilling. This single line, spoken by Winston's torturer, O'Brien, is the philosophical heart of the entire book. See, most tyrannies in history at least pretended they were working towards some kind of paradise. But the party, they have zero illusions about that. This is what makes the party so terrifying. It's not interested in the good of others or building a perfect society. It's interested in one thing and one thing only: power for its own sake. All the oppression, the suffering, the control, they aren't the means to an end. They are the end. They are the destination. It's that famous image, a boot stamping on a human face forever. And perpetual war is the perfect engine to keep this whole nightmare running. For one, it eats up any extra resources, so the standard of living never ever improves. Nobody gets comfortable enough to think. It also keeps the population totally scared and focused on some external enemy instead of their own rulers. And of course, it justifies the party's absolute control over every single aspect of life. In a twisted way, war is peace for the party's uninterrupted rule. So, okay, let's bring it all home to the final and maybe the most important question. This book was written back in the 1940s. How on earth does Orwell's warning hold up a mirror to our world today in the 21st century? Why does it feel more relevant now than ever before? You know, the really chilling part is just how easily you can draw these parallels. The telescreen, always watching? Well, what about our smart devices, CCTV, and all the mass data harvesting that goes on? Newspeak, the language designed to limit thought? That sure sounds a lot like the polarizing rhetoric on social media that just shuts down any real debate. Doublethink, believing two opposite things? Hello, partisan media silos and the whole idea of alternative facts. And the memory hole, erasing the past? It's gone digital. We've got deepfakes and the ability to instantly edit online records, making reality feel more slippery than ever. And that leaves us with one last really crucial question to chew on. See, Orwell imagined one single centralized big brother, one entity in charge. But today, our surveillance is decentralized. It's spread across countless corporations and governments, and half the time we voluntarily invite it into our homes. It's pretty easy to spot a single tyrant. They're an obvious target. But how do you even begin to resist a system that's everywhere and nowhere all at the same time?